Hello, and welcome to our session on our Javits Grant Project Launch Plus. I'm Julia Link Roberts, Executive Director of the Center for Gifted Studies and co-PI for this Javits Grant. Talent development is what the grant is all about, and it's also what the Center for Gifted Studies is all about. So let me talk for a moment about talent development. Talent development is about equity and excellence. It is starting one of three steps. Talent development begins with assessment. Off-level or advanced level assessment is what will be provided through the Javits Grant. It will always end with a celebration or recognition of excellence. And in the middle, there will be opportunities. And all three of those components of talent development will certainly be recognized through our TIP Kentucky program that is being launched at the present time. Project Launch Plus is the center's fifth Javits Grant. We're partnering with Johns Hopkins University, and Dr. Matt Makel is the principal investigator or PI for the grant, and I am the co-PI for Project Launch Plus. The focus, as I said earlier, is certainly on talent development. Project Launch was done by Duke TIP. So this is Project Launch Plus. It is the second step in the research that's being done through this Javits Grant on how do we develop talent in young people, specifically looking at young people who've had fewer opportunities to develop their talent than perhaps others have had. It is for young people, sixth graders, and we'll tell you more about that. Schools, it's very important for you in schools to share information about this opportunity because it would be an honor to be selected as one of the sixth graders to be involved in Project Launch Plus. All, of course, will participate in the above level assessment. And let me assure you, that's important information for you in the schools to have. The more we know about our students, the more likely we are to be able to match their learning opportunities with what they're ready to learn. So having above level assessment results as a part of the Javits Grant could be very important to you in all of your schools. And of course, all of the students who are involved in the Javits Grant will do the above level testing this spring. The research is to determine what makes a difference in talent development. The basic line is established through the above level assessment. And then there's some variations for students to see which ones really do make the difference. And that's what we'll be sharing with you. And as you'll see on the screen right here, the Javits Grant is supported by the U.S. Department of Education. And our grant's primary objective is talent development. More specifically, it's to launch sustained engagement for academically talented students who have had limited opportunities when compared with age mates in their situation. So I'm going to turn this over to Jennifer Wilson, and she'll give you more specifics. I was kind of talking about the big picture.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. You might be wondering who is eligible for this opportunity. We're looking at current sixth grade students, and in terms of academic ability, We are looking at students who are in the 90th percentile in at least one subject area, if not more. And when I say 90th percentile, that would be on a grade level standardized assessment. This particular grant is for students who live within 3 hours of Bowling Green, Kentucky. And these circumstances that make the students eligible are twofold. It's students who have limited opportunities due to either financial challenges and or living in a rural setting that may have prohibited them from taking opportunities that students of the same peer group may have. So you're looking at limited opportunities due to financial challenges and rural setting. And as Dr. Roberts mentioned, the grant has a research design with specific requirements. All of the students will receive the above level assessment, which is IXL, which I will explain a little bit. And the IXL will provide a very robust, extensive report with scores, comparison charts, and educational recommendations. So it's a very, very meaningful report that both the families as well as educators will receive. There will also be research-based informational emails that will go out to the families that will help support. The recommendations will allow the families to think more about the direction and guidance and the types of support needed for their student depending on the scores on their tests. Some of the students will go and attend Camp Discover and Virtual Discovery, which I'll explain in a minute, and also attend a second summer camp called Camp Discover 2. Due to the nature and structure of the research design project, the students will be randomly selected at each school by the center in terms of who will attend the Camp Discovers and the Virtual Discovery. What is Camp Discover and Virtual Discovery? It's a wonderful opportunity for students to grow and be with like-minded students. It's a week-long residential camp, July 11th through the 16th on WKU's campus. Students, much like similar to our SCATS programming residential camp, which is a 2-week program, this is very similar in format where there will be 4 classes that are offered each day. Students will this year be able to look at a list and rank the classes by what they might want the most to the least. So there will be opportunity for class selection. They have various enrichment activities in the evening that they enjoy. The teachers are WKU faculty or outstanding area teachers. And the classes are minds-on, hands-on by design. So often students think, oh, summer camp, I don't want to go to summer camp. Well, this is not like your standard typical summer camp. These students are immersed in fun, minds-on, hands-on learning activities. Often students say it's so much fun, they don't even, it's with their like-minded peers and they love the opportunities. It's just a very positive, meaningful experience. And of course, in addition to classes, meals, and the activities, you have the, at least the families will take consolation in the fact that there's supervision of adults or other counselors around them. So it's, they have a lot of open learning experiences, but they also have people that will help them in terms of counseling them. And all of these opportunities are at no expense to the students. Just a couple of quotes here these are from the SCATS camps, but often students make the comment that I've found my people here. I have something in common with everyone I've met. And then of course, it's easier when you're on the same academic level to talk with others about lots of things. So these students really often are immersed into a camp where they feel at home. And the virtual discovery is by design of the grant. There will be 3 weeks of programming online prior to the camp or after the camp, and that will be determined by the center as well. Activities and enrichment are designed to foster creative and critical thinking, and there will be lots of opportunities for collaboration online. The above level assessment, if you haven't attended one of our TIP Kentucky sessions, is the same actually, but it's iExcel. And this is an online platform developed by the Bell and Blank Center at the University of Iowa. And the licensed content was developed by ACT. And those of you that are familiar with some of the Explore material previously for the younger students, there is some of that contained in the iExcel. And it assesses 4 areas: math, science, reading, and English. How is iExcel useful? Looking at this chart here, I think illustrates a really meaningful point. When you're looking at grade level testing results, as in the A section, your 90th percentile to 100th percentile are all in a very condensed area. But when you take an above level test, suddenly the bell curve changes, in some cases very dramatically. So these same students that in the graph A, when they take an above level test, graph B is showing just a wider range of what they're ready to learn and the level of challenge needed for each student. The basics on the iExcel very much pattern what we were discussing about the eligibility for the grant students or participants. So the students will need to be in the top 10% or the 90th percentile in at least one subject area on a grade level standardized test. And the students take the test in the comfort of their school or a location of their teacher's choosing on a test date that is convenient for the teachers as well as the students and families. So the cost for this grant, there is no cost for the school or for the participants, the students. And the length is, it's actually 4 30-minute sections of math, science, English, and reading, but there's a little break in between. So actual testing time is 2.5 hours. We recommend that teachers allot for 3 hours to have some comfort room for testing purposes and technological issues. And of course, after the test, the teachers as well as the families receive these extensive reports with the charts I was mentioning. The students and families get their own individual student report. So the student scores, comparisons to other talented students in their grade, as well as score comparisons to the 8th graders that the test was actually designed for. So the student can see where they fall in line with the 3 different areas. They break it actually into science, math, and lump the reading and English together. Of course, there will be lots of wonderful recommendations, and there will be a pyramid of educational options, which will show the different degrees of talent. So you have, mind you, when the student takes a test, they are performing exceptionally well in their regular grade level assessments. So all of these tests are reflecting the student score based on a test that's designed for 8th graders. So there will be a lot of variation when they get their test results, which is good to know. That information is all wonderful for both the teachers as well as the students to know. Oops, I missed the educator report. The educator report is very meaningful. You see all the scores of the students that have been tested, and there will be explanations and recommendations from a group standpoint as well as individually. So there will be a lot of useful resources that the teachers can use when helping guide the student. So if you're interested in this grant opportunity, the things that happen next, I think we have mainly teachers online, but there may be some parents as well. So if there is a parent, we encourage you to contact your teacher or your gifted and talented coordinator at the school. If you are a teacher, I believe Tyler is putting in the chat box a link that may look a little different than the one I have here on the slide, but both of them will take the educators to a form that you can fill out saying, yes, I'm interested, and then we will contact you for further information on the names of your specific students. Also, in terms of the randomization and the selection process, we will get more information to you about that. The time frame we're looking at is the deadline for interest from that link that we just dropped in the chat box, Monday, March 21st. And the deadline for the student participants, we'd like to get the names of all the students of interest by March 29th. And the testing is intended to be completed prior to the summer and the camp. And students will be randomly selected by the center for the Camp Discover and the Virtual Discovery. Are there any questions?
Oops. I'd like to add that the selection of students will be per school, the random selection, so that if you have 20 students at school, 10 of them will be randomly selected to come. But just remember, having that assessment data is incredibly important, and everyone gets that.
Jennifer, there's a question in here. Is the 90th percentile based off of the STAR scores or K-Prep?
Well, may I answer that?
Yes, please.
I think we're talking about the 90th percentile on any nationally normed test. If you're dealing with K-Prep, you really don't have a nationally normed test. So if you have something else, it would be preferable. But if that's all you have, give us a call and we'll figure out what it takes with K-Prep scores.
Bailey has asked, do students do both virtual discovery and Camp Discover?
And the answer to that is yes. Part of the research design is looking at the online component as to whether it makes a difference in talent development if it's before the camp experience or after it. So yes, that is part of the research design.
And then we have a question, do I submit the students' names or do I need to get permission from parents first?
I think you want to make sure you've talked with parents and know that it's okay to submit the student names. I do consider it an honor to be selected for the grant, and I would encourage you to talk with parents and the sixth graders in terms of it being an honor to be selected to be a part of this research study, of this design. I would, it's a big deal, folks. It's like being selected for an all-star team.
And on the interest form that I dropped in the chat, you don't have to provide student names at this time. You just tell us how many students you would think may be interested, and then Jennifer will be following up with you later to get the actual information for the students. There's a question, is there a limit to the number of students you'd like us to keep? I'm asking as a district supervisor.
I think we're talking, you know, districts are so different in size. It may have one middle school. In fact, these children may be in elementary schools. I don't know that there is a limit. If you've got young people who are interested, please submit those. And if you send way too many, you may hear from Jennifer, but I'm really not expecting that to happen.
How will diversity be addressed?
Well, I think it will be addressed by the students that you submit, knowing that equity and excellence are so important to what the Center for Gifted Studies does, as well as to what this grant represents. So you, as you're selecting students, as you're inviting students, make sure that you're thinking about equity.
Do you have a letter that explains the grant that I could send home to parents?
Actually, we do have a handout. We're going to make a change or two on it, so we're not going to send it out at the end of this session, but you could expect it right away.
This question is, so just to clarify, if a parent agrees to participate in Project Launch Plus, they are agreeing to have their kid tested and possibly going to camp. They might take the test and not be selected to participate in anything else. Is that correct?
That is correct. And that's the research design.
They will all receive the email information, the informational emails that are sent out. So,
and those emails are about resources and opportunities for talent development. And we certainly hope that families read those and pay attention to those that they see as important for their families and children. You didn't ask this question, but I'm going to provide some information. Why sixth graders? Well, sixth grade is really when you're launching yourself into secondary school. And so the path you select is many times shaped by opportunities that you have. And so the above level assessment gives you as educators the opportunity to ensure that these students will have the appropriate educational opportunities to be learning and to be involved in extracurricular opportunities as well as in school opportunities. So that's for everybody. And so what happens when you're a sixth grader moving into seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, and through high school begins to shape what your opportunities are. And I think that's an incredibly important part of what we're doing with this Javits grant focused on talent development.
any other questions?
Well, I hope you're excited about the opportunity that we have in Kentucky. And please remember, if we look 3 hours beyond Bowling Green, that could be Indiana, Missouri, Illinois, Tennessee. So if you're listening to this, don't be limited to sharing this information only with other Kentucky people. If you've got friends and family that are in other states, share it with them too. And do remember, an opportunity is not a real opportunity until you hear about it.
There's a question about whether they will be administering the test at school this spring themselves.
An educator in the school will be administering the test in the school this spring. And the educator will be our contact.
Excellent questions. Any others? I would really like to reemphasize and encourage all of you to share this information. I'll be sending out a recording to all those who register. There's several that were unable to attend that are wanting it. So please share it with anyone that is within 3 hours of Bowling Green.
there's a question, are the students that attended Camp Discover last year attending again this year?
And the answer to that is yes, but in a separate camp, that's Camp Discover 2, and we'll be sending that information out. It will be the week after Camp Discover.
It's actually scheduled for July 17th through the 22nd.
We've got a really busy summer planned and a wonderful one.
Well, we sure appreciate your time. I know that you all are very busy right now at this time of the school year. Unless anyone else has a question. Yes, thank you, Tyler. Tyler just dropped my email, jennifer.wilson@wku.edu. I am more than happy if you think of things. I know many people like to ponder and think on it, and we will be sending out a recording so that you can review it again or pass it on to your colleagues. So thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.